Okay, so the Eagles Super Bowl parade was absolutely insane, as some wild moments along with a few epic speeches made for a day that will be remembered forever in the city of Philadelphia. However, it was what Jalen Hurts said regarding his and the Eagles' future that should have the rest of the NFL on notice. Meanwhile, the Birds also got some big updates regarding a few key free agents, including Zack Baun, who made some comments on his future that Eagles fans will be happy to hear. Plus, why does this forgotten Eagle deserve some credit? Well, we're going to talk about that and all the other latest Eagles news starting right now. Hey guys, welcome to the Philly Fan 21 channel. If you're new, I'm Evan, and I cover all things Philadelphia Eagles. And it's certainly been a rather eventful past couple of days for the Birds with locker room cleanout and, of course, the Super Bowl parade. So we're going to get into all that in this video, but first, let's start off with the Eagles getting fitted for their Super Bowl rings, which is obviously kind of a big deal. I mean, that's one of the things that these guys just dream of and work so hard for. So to see their hard work pay off in this way is obviously just so darn special. And it's just one more thing that makes this actually all seem real. Like, it's almost been a week, and it's still crazy to say that we won the freaking Super Bowl. So I'm certainly grateful, and again, it's going to be awesome to see these guys officially get their rings because they deserve it. And one guy who's going to get a ring that I think pretty much everybody forgot about during the season is defensive back James Bradberry, as he went on IR after the conclusion of training camp with what was called a 6 to 8 week injury, and then was pretty much never seen or heard from again after that. That is until after the conclusion of the Super Bowl and locker room cleanouts on Thursday, as reporters spoke to JB at his locker, where he revealed to Brooks Cabana that he had actually tore his Achilles in training camp, and that's what kept him out for the entire season. Which, first off, I think it's kind of weird that the Eagles decided to hide that from the public because I don't see a real reason for that, but nonetheless, that's what happened, and now JB says he's going to be good to go for the start of OTAs in the spring, and he wants to try and contribute in some way at cornerback next season. So that's no doubt going to be an interesting storyline to follow when we get to that part of the offseason, that is, if he is still on the team. But first, I think we as Eagles fans just got to give him the credit that he deserves, because this is a guy who has been a long-time starter in this league, and just 2 years ago, he was an All-Pro for the Eagles, yet after a down year, he handled the whole situation of being benched and then switching to safety like a true professional. And then when he went down with the Achilles injury, he still apparently did what he could to help the team by mentoring and coaching up the young guys. And we saw how amazing they were this season and just how important they were to the Birds winning the Super Bowl. So it's like Nick Sirianni always says, you can't be great without the greatness of others, and it takes everybody.
I'm going to get a ring, and I can always say I'm a Super Bowl champion, so I'm a part of it.
Plus, on top of that, even after going through this extremely tough situation, Bradberry still made sure to praise Eagles fans on Thursday, saying, quote, "Greatest fan base in the world, glad I got to experience the highs and the lows." So just shout out to James Bradberry. He certainly has my respect, and I'm definitely rooting for him moving forward. Now, not sure what kind of role he'll have next year, and that contract is still definitely an issue. So again, it'll be interesting to see how things play out with JB. But moving on, locker room cleanout day also gave us some updates on a few of the Birds' key free agents, as heading into the offseason, it's been made clear that the Eagles likely won't be able to keep all of their top guys, with reporter Zack Baun putting out a tweet a few days ago saying that the Birds are internally bracing for some difficult decisions this offseason, and with owner Jeffrey Lurie saying that the Eagles are preparing for compensatory picks in 2026, that should be a hint that they know they will lose key free agents, and they won't make as many big signings on the unrestricted market. Plus, he also later added that while they will be in on trying to keep and sign everyone they can, they will have walkaway numbers in place that they likely won't go over. So again, based on all that, expect some tough decisions this offseason, especially considering the fact that the Eagles have 4 big free agents that are all expected to get paid on the open market, those being Zack Baun, Josh Sweat, Milton Williams, and Mekhi Becton. And out of those 4, obviously priority number 1 has to be keeping linebacker Zack Baun, because the guy is the best linebacker in football right now, and he's a huge reason why Vic Fangio's unit was so successful this year. So again, Howie Roseman and the Birds just have to find a way to get a deal done to keep him in Philly for the long term. And the good news is that it sounds like that's what he's hoping for too.
Yeah, I'm curious. I don't know what it's going to look like, honestly. My goal every time is to play the best football I can, and hopefully it's here. I love this place, and I really appreciate what they've done for my career and my family and just everything. So got a lot of options to weigh and a lot of stuff to think about.
I think it's been pretty clear for a while now that Zack Baun wants to be in Philly, and he wants to sign a long-term contract here, and multiple Eagles creators have actually said that from everything they're hearing, the expectation is that Baun will agree on a deal to keep him in Philly. So hopefully, fingers crossed, that does happen, and we get to see the bald eagle flying around out there making plays for years to come. Now, as far as the actual value on the contract, I've seen projections start at anywhere from $12 million a year and go all the way up to $18 million a season, but that's something that we really have no real way of knowing, and I think we'll get a better idea on that as we get closer to free agency. But now, as for right guard Mekhi Becton, we didn't get too much of an update from him on what his preference is in free agency, as during locker room cleanouts, he told reporters that he really hasn't started thinking about the future yet, but I think it's pretty clear that Philly is the place that he wants to be, just considering how he had told the media way back in the spring that he wants Philly to be his long-term home, and also with how clearly grateful he is for everything that the Eagles have done for him and his career. So this is purely speculation, but I honestly feel like there is a chance that Becton could potentially take less to come back to Philly. Also, not to mention that his teammates and especially star tackle Jordan Mailata want him back too, as he said, quote, "I hope he comes back. You hear that, Howie? Please bring him back." So we'll see if Howie can get a deal done or not, but it is definitely nice to know that Becton's got the support of his Eagles teammates and that he also himself wants to be here. But now, as for the Eagles' other two crucial free agents, even though Josh Sweat had told the Inquirer that sure, money is important, but he also wants to be in the right situation, that still doesn't necessarily mean that that right situation will be with Philly, and he'll almost certainly be offered a lot more money than the Eagles can give him by many other teams. Plus, with the fact that he changed agents before the Super Bowl and also called free agency the biggest moment of his life, something tells me that he may not be back and he's going to be trying to get a bigger contract than the Eagles can give him. And honestly, same goes for Milton Williams, as the guy showed up to the locker room cleanout wearing a freaking Clutch sports hoodie of all things. Plus, when he was asked about his free agency, he said that he wants to return, but, quote, "obviously, I want a raise." And then on top of that, he also said he'd love the opportunity to be a top guy on the defensive line. So, I don't know. Obviously, we don't know anything for sure, and who knows, maybe Milton Sweat do end up coming back, but I'd say as of now, that just doesn't seem like the most likely scenario. But the good news is, there is two guys right behind each of them in Jalen Hunt and Moro Ojomo that I think could be rising stars and become very, very productive players. I mean, heck, they already had the two highest pass rush win rates out of anybody in Super Bowl 59, so seems to me that they're already pretty productive, and I feel like they're only going to get better as time goes on. All that said, though, Milton Williams actually did give us a much more positive update yesterday during the parade, which we're going to dive into all that a little bit later. But as for Milt, he confirmed that Philly is the place that he wants to be.
Is this where you want to be?
Oh, yeah, for sure. You see the type of team we got. You know, we feel confident being able to do it again.
Yeah, so again, obviously, those comments from Milt are super, super positive and make you think that maybe he could come back to Philly. But again, it's not that simple, and it's just going to be about whether him, Howie Roseman, and the Eagles can all come to an agreement or not. So we'll just have to see how things play out throughout this offseason. But now, moving on to some other major news that came out of locker room cleanout day, left guard Landon Dickerson gave us a big update on the knee injury that he played through during the Super Bowl, and it isn't exactly the best news, as he revealed that although he doesn't know the specific diagnosis yet, it will require surgery this offseason to fully heal it. So again, that's definitely not great, and hopefully he has a speedy recovery and is good to go for OTAs. But at the same time, I mean, shout out to Landon, man, for just being an absolute dog and playing through that serious injury, and also playing at a very high level nonetheless during the biggest game of his life. I mean, those are the type of guys that you need on your team, so again, shout out to him for fighting and helping the Eagles bring home the Lombardi Trophy. Speaking of which, yesterday was the big celebration, in which the Eagles, along with the Lombardi Trophy, made their way down Broad Street and up to the Rocky Steps during Philadelphia's Super Bowl parade. And as expected, with over 1 million people in attendance and the Eagles themselves celebrating in full force, things got pretty crazy. And man, there's just so much to go over from the parade, so I'm going to do my best to cover all the highlights. First, starting with Jalen Hurts hoisting the Lombardi Trophy on the bus in front of the fans in a Rocky-esque moment, and then you had Josh Sweat wearing Chris Long's fur coat from 7 years ago. Then Saquon Barkley found an Eagles ball boy in the crowd and pulled him over the barrier so he could join in the parade. Then you also had Nolan Smith carrying around some random kid on his shoulders, and also just being absolutely out of his mind drunk, along with Quinyon Mitchell, who was also on a whole different planet.
What? Go!
Shout out to James Bradberry for keeping that situation under control, but there's more, as he had a strong message coming from Landon Dickerson early in the day.
All I gotta say is go bird!
Plus, Cooper DeJean cut himself above the eye with his own chain, while Howie Roseman got a battle scar of his own when he was hit in the head with the beer can.
I bleed for this city! Go Eagles! We are two-time world champs, and we're coming back strong. Go Birds!
Moving on, you also had CJ Gardner Johnson repping this absolutely crazy t-shirt, taking a shot at Swifties after they had actually came after his mom's restaurant this past week. And also, he can be seen here reminding the fans exactly what the Eagles did to the Chiefs on Sunday, which he later reiterated in his speech.
Respectfully, all I gotta say is 3 letters. BTA, BTA, BTA.
Speaking of crazy speeches, we definitely got a few of them on Friday. My favorite one coming from Landon Dickerson, who went absolutely crazy.
When I got drafted here, everybody said it was impossible to play in Philly. I found out all y'all want is for us to give everything we can for this city, and y'all give it right back. I don't even got words to describe how happy I am right now. After 22 feeling that loss, I didn't ever want to feel that shit again. It's a terrible feeling. But you know what? We don't gotta feel it today, baby. Go Birds!
Meanwhile, you had Blankenship rapping Dreams and Nightmares.
Philly! Just a boy from Bama. We up here in the city, baby! I used to pray for times like this, to rhyme like this, so I had to rhyme like that, to shine like this, and that.
Jordan Mailata singing We Are the Champions.
We are the champions, my friend. There we go, come on! We keep on fighting to the end.
And also, A.J. Brown firing back at all his critics.
They said I was a diva. They said all I care about was stats. If you gonna get all those things wrong about me, but one thing you can get right, I'm a champion.
Plus, on top of all those awesome moments, we also had BG give us the classic "No one likes us, we don't care" line from Jason Kelce's speech at the last parade.
We're from Philly, in Philly, no one likes us and we don't care. E-A-G-L-E-N, Eagle!
And in addition to that, BG also left it open-ended as to whether he's going to retire this offseason or not.
Only problem I have is that it's over. This season is over, and we're getting ready for the next one.
I don't know about you, but it definitely seems to me like there is a very real chance that BG could potentially return to play next season, so that'll definitely be a situation to monitor this offseason. However, even with all that, perhaps the best moments came from Jalen Hurts.
About this city, one thing we do, we fight. You know, I told myself that when I got drafted, that I wouldn't come to the Rocky Steps until I won a championship. And now we're here. You can't quit. You can't lose if you don't quit. And in Philly, we don't quit.
It's crazy to say this, but this guy literally has MJ-like mentality. So it's no surprise that he's becoming the face of the Jordan brand, and it's also no surprise that he's already focused on next season.
The next pursuit begins. Go Birds.
I think out of everything coming out of these past few days and really this past week, this mindset from Hurts and really the rest of the team is one of the most exciting things because multiple guys, including Hurts multiple times, have echoed this sentiment of not just being excited that they won this one, but wanting to get back to work and do it again next season. And we're already starting to hear talks of a back-to-back or a possible Eagles dynasty over these next few years, and while obviously that's going to be extremely difficult to pull off and we don't want to get ahead of ourselves, the Eagles are set up to do it with all the young talent that they have and with the star core of this team remaining intact. So it's an understatement to say that I am just super fired up about where this Eagles team is at and where they're going, and I can't wait to see what they do this offseason. So if you don't want to miss any of the coverage that I got coming throughout this offseason on all the Eagles news, then make sure you subscribe and also turn on notifications so you're notified instantly when one of these videos is uploaded, and also drop a like to show some support because it really does help me out a ton, guys. Let's see if we can get to at least 600 likes on today's video. And also leave a comment down below what were your thoughts on the Eagles Super Bowl parade. I do apologize if this video ends up coming out a little bit weird just because yesterday I was busy doing something, so I had to record part of this yesterday in the morning and then the rest of it at now 3:04 p.m. on Saturday. So apologies for that, but if you want to watch another Eagles video, you can check this one out right here. Now, with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.